So this is for machine creation procedure. We start from the very beginning by starting Mindscape, and if you have a check mark in this window in the plugin manager set in here, every time you start Mindscape you would have a plugin manager pop up. This is very useful if you happen to work with different modules of Mindscape from time to time. You need to make sure that you have the core Mindscape and schedule loaded. If you don't have schedule loaded, just click on it and click load. And after you have a green check mark next to schedule, you just click close. Now we don't have any project selected, so we need to select a project. Normally you would be selecting it from this list over here, and it's called the project tab of Mindscape Explorer. But as I have put my project into the favorite projects, uh, I can just click on it and it would load my project. Right, we have project loaded, which is marked in this title field. Now the schedule module is pretty specific, so before you can start working with it, you need to define what particular submodule you want to work, whether you want to work with the ordinary schedule or schedule 3D. So you go to schedule, you click on run, which would run the ordinary schedule module. We need to wait a bit. A MindStar window appears and eventually disappears. Once it disappears, you are ready to start. So we were talking about machines. Let's try to see whether we have any machines in this project. We go to schedule setup, machines, machine definition. Uh, this form is by default empty, so if you have an idea of creating a new machine, you will have to fill in all the fields one after the other. But I would explain you on an example of an existing machine what these fields mean and what values you have to put there. So we go to drop down list. We have two machines here, one MC Bird and MC Cole. The MC Bird machine is the machine which we use for burden fleet, and that's kind of a virtual machine, so it actually models the activity performed by two different machines. And we also have the MC Cole, which is a machine representing the coal fleet. For the calendar name, that would be covered in a different webcast. Uh, we need to select a calendar. In our model, we have one calendar which displays 364 days. You don't have to bother with it. You just need to make sure that you have the calendar defined for your machine description. Further on, there is a formula which shows you how you calculate the production rate of your coal machine. In a very simple case, this formula can simply be a constant. If you don't want to go complex and you know that the production rate of your machine is certain number of tons per hour, you just put this number here and you don't bother for the constants. But if you want to have your scheduling model more complex, more sophisticated, and thus more accurate, you might want to account for the availability of your machine. You want to account for the weather factor, for the preventive maintenance, and also for non-working days, as in this example. Or you might also add some more factors here. Let me show you how it works. So uh, we need to find what these parameters are. Those are variables, so we go to schedule setup, variables. Uh, Here comes a field which is pretty similar to machine definition field. So we will try to find what's the MC call base. So we go here, MC call base. It tells us that that's MC call base rate, means that that's the initial rate which we have in the technical characteristics of our machine. Um, it can be just taken from a table, and we can put it here, so it can also be a constant, but here we wanted to go a bit complex because you might want to use equipment not only to remove the coal but also to remove the burden. But coal and burden do have different hardness, so you might have different production rates on coal and different production rates on burden. So this is what this particular expression is standing for. So if you are mining the burden, then the production rate would be this, and if you will go for coal, which would be a bit softer, your production rate would be higher. uh, okay, so that's the base coefficient which we use, but we also want to account for the availability, so we go here and we find the MC coal availability. In this case, it's very simplistic. We have from our statistics that our machine is available for 0.93 of all the time. So we just multiply the base coefficient onto this availability coefficient, and we do account for the availability of the machine throughout the year. The next one is for the weather. So we would find the MC coal wet. MC wet, here it goes, and here it has an expression which actually browses a table where we have our coefficient. To see what this table is, we can go to tools, tables, table create and edit, and select the wet fact table from the list. So this table is looking like it has a certain coefficient for January, for November, and for December. You can also put the other names of the months and put the correct coefficients next to it. The idea here is as follows. We assume that in January, December, and November we have a decrease in our production rate because of the weather. So here we have a decrease by 0.1, here 0.1, and here 0.15. So how this formula works: it goes to the table, it takes the current months where machine is utilized for the particular step. If this month is January or November or December, it is just picking the uh, coefficient from the table. But if it is some other months for which we don't have any weather implications, it would just return 1 as a production coefficient, so the weather would not influence our production rate at all. So I'm closing the table and we are proceeding next to the preventive maintenance thing. The preventive maintenance we will look at through in the, yes, that's the one. That is basically the amount of days you are spending on preventive maintenance. Here the expression is uh, simply showing you how the coefficient for preventive maintenance is calculated. So you can put any formula here and you can put any value instead of 12, for example. The next one is the non-working days. Non-working days are MC co. Here it goes. Just the same approach as for the preventive maintenance. You can put a formula which would calculate your production rate. So that's basically it. As I have mentioned before, you can either go pretty complex as for the machine expression, uh, as in this example, or you can simply put a constant if you are creating a new machine and you want to have a very generalistic schedule. You put just the value from the technical characteristics here, and you can make a faster and more straightforward schedule model. But if you want to be more sophisticated, you can go with this formulas approach. Right, so that's it for machines and machine setup, and of course the last thing, once you have created it, you can modify stuff. So you can modify this expression, or you can go into variables and modify the variable. Just don't forget to hit apply or OK after you modify the change, so this change would be written into the database. Right, thanks for listening, and see you on the next screencast.